Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is December 17th, and right now we're looking at the mid-level water vapor loop. We got BC, Washington, Oregon. Check out the storm off the coast of California. That's going to be our next precipitation maker as well. It's eventually going to move up over the area over the next few days, bring that round of precipitation with it. Then we get a little bit of a break before the next system looks to arrive as we go through the later portion of next week. Then we'll turn our eyes to the strong jet stream that's going to be developing across the Pacific Ocean, bringing big storm potential with it, but still great deal of uncertainty on how that's going to unfold. This is looking about 925 millibars, 2,500 feet off the surface, storm off the coast of California there. There's Oregon and Washington. And as you see, as we go through the afternoon, we've got a pretty good east gradient here going on, at least from east to west. And you can see it coming across the Cascades, the gorge. They're down towards the Washington-Oregon border, the Stampede Gap, probably gusting up over 50 miles per hour. And that kind of continues on through tonight. And then we start to weaken that gradient a bit as the storm moves back up over the area and brings some precipitation amounts. And the next storm dives down towards California. And we wait for our next round here coming across the Pacific. Now, taking a look here at 6-hour precipitation totals here, you'll see this precipitation move across Vancouver Island here as we go on in through this evening, kind of missing Western Washington, Western Oregon with that initial round. But then you can see the precip spreading over the area as we go through the day tomorrow. This would be about tomorrow, about 5 p.m. here across the region, kind of the hit and miss nature of some of this precipitation here. And the model's been downtrending with some of the amounts here getting east of the Cascades, although a little bit of it does. You can see it's not too much here, maybe a little bit higher amounts across some of the higher terrain, but you can see this precipitation hangs on for a bit here across BC and Western Washington as we go on in through potentially Wednesday morning. That starts to wrap up here as our next system starts to arrive into Western BC through Wednesday afternoon, and then that next storm system drives down across California. Looking at lightning flash density potential, so there's a lot of lightning strikes of the storm off the coast of California. That's not going to necessarily translate up towards the Pacific Northwest, although you can't rule out a stray thunderstorm or two maybe across Vancouver Island or the Oregon coast here as we go through tonight and maybe on in through tomorrow. Who knows? We might get lucky and see a couple flashes out there, but nothing too crazy. Not a big widespread lightning maker coming up across the Pacific Northwest here. This is looking at Hoquiam Airport here, and we've got some decent model agreement here with about 0.6 of an inch showing up in the control run recently, kind of coming to some agreement there. And this is Seattle, something similar there. Actually showed about 0.6 of an inch in the last control run, and the ensemble members actually tailing off a little bit here. Some of them only showing 3/4 of an inch here, but it'll be wet here as we go through the day Tuesday and then wrapping up as we go through Wednesday. This is Spokane, downtrending a little bit here, hoping to squeeze 1/10 of an inch out of this system. Similar thing for Boise here. You know, some of the ensemble members show some measurable precip, and some of these runs are not showing much. This is Missoula. Don't shoot the messenger, but not a lot of precipitation coming out there with this next storm system. Bend, crossing our fingers here for 1/10 of an inch or two as we go through Tuesday. Now, this is looking at European model here. This is yesterday afternoon, so this goes out about 240 hours or about 10 days. There's that California low here. It starts to move up across the Pacific Northwest here, and you can see it bringing us our round of precipitation. Next storm drops down towards California. We start wrapping things up on the day Wednesday, and we start to bring a system that's kind of falling apart a bit here as we go through Thursday. But then you can see another low pressure system kind of diving in towards the Oregon coast here. This could bring some locally breezy conditions as well, and the GFS shows this coming in a bit further north here. So you got to kind of watch storms like this a little bit. You can bring some blustery conditions kind of out of the blue with a system like that. If it deepens a little bit more and comes north, you could actually bring some 40+ mile per hour gusts even towards the Portland or Seattle metro. We'll see how that goes as we look at it tomorrow. But then you can see that Gulf of Alaska low really get cranking here as we look off into the future. Some strong low pressure systems out here, and it's going to have atmospheric river potential as well and some wind potential also, but still huge disagreement on how that's going to unfold as we look off into the extended forecast. Here we're looking at Alaska, BC, Washington. We're looking at 500 millibar general ridge and trough position. There goes our storm there. Then the storm drops down towards California. Then we get this storm system trying to move in towards the end of the week. That's one I mentioned. Could be a little bit of a sneaky wind maker. We'll see how that goes. Not an exceptionally strong low pressure system, but then you see the Gulf of Alaska low really get cranking here. And this would be looking off towards next weekend. That's Sunday morning, December 24th, Christmas Eve. And you can kind of see some storms after that continuing to pinwheel around that Gulf of Alaska low, potentially impacting the west coast here. But again, a great deal of uncertainty on how that's going to unfold. This is looking at a closer view of things here on the NAM3 cam. I wanted to kind of highlight the gusty east winds, again, coming across the Cascades as we go through the day today, probably peaking sometime as we go through this afternoon. You can see them ripping pretty good across the Stampede Gap and the Columbia River Gorge there as well, kind of bringing some offshore flow all the way out towards the coastal range. And then you can see that system start to pivot up and over the area and start to relax that gradient by the time we get in towards Monday night. Now, looking at accumulated max 10-meter wind gusts, so you can go through here, go through this pretty quick, but you can see we might get some gusts up over 55 miles per hour with the Columbia Gorge there, maybe towards 50 miles per hour for the Stampede Gap here. Typical windy locations, maybe down towards Enumclaw, just in those gap areas, though. And nothing too crazy here. Actually shows a little bit of gusty southeast wind, it looks like, as we go through Monday night across some of the Whidbey Island and the San Juans also, but nothing too wild. Now, taking a look at the European, this is the ensemble mean. I've scrolled all the way towards December 31st, the afternoon here, and you can kind of see that we do have some rain incoming here, but there is a great deal of uncertainty. The models keep going back and forth on just how much of precipitation are we going to get. And you can see Vancouver Island kind of targeted in this one and maybe Northern California. So it's not worth getting caught up in the details too much just yet as we look off into that storm train that's going to be coming towards the west coast of North America for somebody, but we'll continue to try to break it down day by day. Now, looking at total snow, 10-to-1 ratio. This is yesterday afternoon's European that goes out about 15 days, actually, 360 hours. And here's our initial shot of snowfall. So, if we're lucky, this will bring a few inches to the Cascades of Washington, Oregon, the Blue Mountains, a little bit better across western BC. And that next system starts rolling in as we get towards the weekend. Some snow flying up across some of western BC as well in the higher terrain. But you notice the European had that track of that storm going a little bit further south. So that would bring a nice healthy dose of snow to some of the Oregon Cascades. But again, that's dependent on the track of that low. The GFS has it going a bit further north. So that would expose the Washington Cascades to some better amounts here. Again, as we go through the upcoming weekend, and that's going to bring us to Christmas Eve on Sunday, December 24th. If we scroll out a bit more into the future, you can see we do have the potential to maybe bring some additional snowfall, but nothing worth getting caught up in just yet. And looking at the fantasy windstorm forecast, there are bigger windstorms. They're out there. It's fantasy land, as you can see. But right now, it's so far out there that that's what it is. It's just fantasy at this point. And then you can kind of see there are some blustery conditions showing up with that weekend system here. Some of these ensembles have some gusts up towards 40 miles per hour, but not an exceptionally strong low that's going to be moving through towards the end of the week. This is the GFS. So let's take a look at that. Here's Washington State. There's Alaska there. You can see the low pressure system off the coast of California, bringing us our next round of precipitation. Storm drops down toward California there. And then we bring this system here. And you can see the GFS further north with it. That'd bring a better round of snowfall here as we go towards the end of the week for the Washington Cascades. You can see the low fill and move across British Columbia there. Somewhat of a transient ridge kind of moves across the area. And the GFS also has that Gulf of Alaska low really get cranking. Some really powerful storms forming out here. But how close are they going to get to western BC and western Washington and Oregon State? That is the question. I mean, look at this monster storm out there, a 951 millibar low. That would look spectacular on the satellite imagery, but it's purely fantasy right now. We're just kind of looking off into the tea leaves, and what continues to be an active storm pattern here may be pointed at the Pacific Northwest, but again, it's no guarantee. And I mean, look at this wild one off in the fantasy land here. That'd be a pretty windy solution in itself. But now looking across Pacific Ocean, we've been watching this for a few days now. There's Japan, here's Alaska. We're at about 39,000 feet. There's Washington State and the Hawaiian Islands would be right there. There's our system here, bringing some precip. The system goes down towards California midweek period here. Then we bring that system as we go towards the end of the week there. Then look at that jet stream just racing across the Pacific Ocean. That's why the Gulf of Alaska is going to be developing those strong storms. But again, we're just kind of looking at tea leaves right now. We're just kind of trying to see how things play out and see when the models start to latch onto some kind of agreeable solution through the extended forecast. This is 6 to 10 day probability outlook. We're looking like we're going to be above average here as we go through December 26th and towards the end of the month as well. 6 to 10 day precipitation, kind of equal chances here, lesser chances for being towards average for Idaho and Montana. But for the 8 to 14 day, we start to reintroduce that above average signal there. Who knows what that storm track is going to be doing at that point. And just, I've been showing this the last few days here as well. You can kind of see this is the last year we are running that deficit, especially across the Washington, Oregon, Cascades, and some of the coastal areas there. And this is the last 6 months, again, with that deficit here across a lot of Western Washington and Oregon. That's why there are still some drought concerns out here. But if we continue to bring that storm track in through here this month, it's just going to help. And hopefully we don't flood, though. Precipitation over the last month here as well, and you can kind of see we are doing pretty good across the central, southern Cascades, and some of the Oregon Cascades are doing pretty well as well. So anyway, yeah, we'll continue to watch these systems roll in here. We're kind of biding our time here to see what that powerful jet stream is going to bring. But of course, we got things to worry about in the meantime. We got a precipitation maker, some gusty east winds today. Then we got a system moving through this weekend. So yeah, we'll continue to break things down. I have the next few days off here upcoming. So anyway, I'll be able to put a little bit more time into the forecast here, but I hope you guys are liking these videos. If you guys want to order that weather station, you can still get it by Christmas. I'll put it in the link down below, so click on that to save 10% off as well. But anyway, hope you guys actually, yeah, I was going to show one more thing, but I'll just do that tomorrow. So anyway, hope you guys are having a good day. We'll do this again tomorrow, and I will talk